welcome to Scrapping on the Fly. My name is Kristen, and it is Sunday, so I am here with Scraplift Crafternoon, a hop where we find inspiration. A group of my friends and I find inspiration, and then we scraplift it. And so this week's scraplift is from Wendy Rossbach, and her Instagram and any other kind of information will be down in the description box. I am going to be using Paige Evans Blue and Wild. I've got a handful of different things. Instead of actual stitching, I'm going to use a stamp. Sorry, still cheating. I do bring in a couple of different yellows, and also I think that I thought that was my black soot, and it's not, but that's what I end up using as black soot. And pulling as much out of this project pad as I can. There are lots of lovely papers, but there's also all these stickers and alphas, and then I have a paper already picked out. So I've got my papers, my embellishments, my picture, and this awesome layout. So let's see how this goes. So I picked this particular one because it's got the same rainbow stripes that she's using when he's on her layout. Very similar, same direction and everything. And I make sure to tear it to where the white torn paper is on the edge. And so after I get that down, I am going to take my stamp, and this is something I got off of Amazon. I don't even have, it doesn't have like a brand or anything on it, but man, I love these stamps. I use them a lot, and I stamp all the way up and down the right side and the left side. I just use it twice plus a little bit more because that stamp is just shy of 6 inches, and there is a little line at the top where it does not completely come up, the rainbow paper, so I do go trim that off when I'm done. Now I start the watercolor with my or painting with my watercolor brush, and I start with mustard seed, and then I am going to come in once I get the mustard seed kind of roughly in there. I'm going to use a little fossilized amber just to kind of draw a line, just to give it a little bit of definition and an extra color. I thought about bringing orange in, changed my mind. And yes, I know this is crazy looking, but where it connects is going to be covered up by the picture. So it really isn't going to look that crazy. Looks very similar to hers in ways. So once I get that done, I take the stamp, and I do, one of them is a little wonky. That second one I do, it goes to the outside and does not follow the yellow ink, but it's fine. So once I get that on there, see, I'm going to put the picture down and you're not going to see where it connects. So it is very similar actually to hers. Like I have them side by side right now, and they're very similar. I even used the stamp that I used is very similar to how she, like her stitch pattern. So, at least for the sun rays. So anyway, I get that down there. I've used a scrap paper to mat my picture. I love to use a scrap on every layout if I can. So I've used a scrap on there to do that. And then I use the alphas from my project pad, which I always forget I have. You can see I've not used them for anything. And decided to title this Our First Show, because this is me and one of my very good friends, and she asked me if I was interested in volunteering at the Opera House here in town, and I had never thought anything of that, and kind of on a whim, literally, she called me the day she was going for orientation, and like a couple hours later or something, and I was like, you know what, sure, let's try it. And so this was our very first adventure to go work together, and so that's why I titled it Our First Show. And since her alphas look like they were probably cut out, either hand cut or on the Cricut, and it looks like it was cut out of the same paper as she used for the strips, I felt like since it's the same colors, obviously, it's kind of the same concept. So, and I love using these alphas. I always forget they're in there. So I titled it Our First Show. I do add a little tag at the bottom, because where I put that little scallop, there was a little space, and there was a sticker from the project pad that says "Makes Me Laugh." And so Our First Show Makes Me Laugh is even more fitting, just because we had lots of fun, because we laughed just because the two of us are goofy, but also it was a comedy show. And so there were parts of it that were definitely funny. And so that's what we got to do that night. And it was a lot of fun. Now we've signed up for some more adventures, so it will not be our last time. So on Wendy's layout, she's used these cute little like pom-poms or florals, and I use all these buttons up. So I had a bunch of buttons that are left on the project pad and in the sticker sheet, and so I thought, you know what, I'm going to use those. So I put those on there. There's some little circles with hearts, and I use those. And then she has a smaller circle to the bottom left of the title, and there was a bigger one on the project pad that said Wild at Heart, which is very fitting. So I went ahead and put that down there in that same space. And then I do journal. I didn't draw lines like she does, and I'm actually kind of impressed with the fact that my journaling is almost straight. I mean, it's not perfect by any means, but I'm pretty impressed with myself, because usually I write completely crooked. And I just journaled that this is our first show at the Opera House, and that we were there for a Pete Davidson comedy show, and that we had a good old time. The two of us are trouble when we're together. It looks like she's used some stamps to stamp some cute little heart all around, and I love that. I do have one very similar to that, but I really just took my pen and drew a little heart here and the other, usually a couple of them on each of those little rays, and then I just do a couple of dots with my pen in areas as well, and I was pretty happy with that. My embellishment clusters are not as big as hers, but I'm pretty happy with the way that it all turned out. So here is the close-up of mine, and you will see the information about Wendy in the description box, as well as the link for the playlist and all the lovely ladies that I scrap lift with every week. And you can check those ladies out and see how they took this layout and created. I hope you'll do that. I would love it if you'd come back and visit me and give me a thumbs up if you like this video and or my layout. Subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you'll have a great day. I hope you get a chance today to do something you love with someone you love. Happy Mother's Day and happy scrapping.